author, life coach, public speaker, all the things that we do. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I decided, how's that? Is that okay? All right, I decided to come on today because I was at the gym, and while I was at the gym, I was texting with a couple of friends of mine. We're in a group that we call Mighty Soul Siblings. And one of my guy friends sent me something, and my response back was a picture of the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. And the picture on the t-shirt is of Snoopy. I can't possibly show you guys this, but it's a Snoopy, and it says nope, period, not today, period. Now this was interesting because he was like, wow, that could mean many different things. And what I said that this t-shirt actually gave me strength at a point in my life when I needed strength. And oh shoot, I forgot to turn off my notifications. Someone do that right now. Do not disturb, people. Do not disturb me. I'm on a live with my people. Okay. All right. Hopefully it doesn't mess anything up. So this was during a time when I was having to deal with toxic behavior of somebody. And I don't know where I was. Just, could have been a Target, could have been a Walmart. I don't know where I was. And I've never been a person to buy t-shirts. Just not my thing. Nothing wrong with it. I just don't do it. So I was walking through one of those stores and I saw this t-shirt and it said, nope, not today. And I thought, that gave me some sort of oomph. That gave me some sort of fierceness. Like it grew some fire inside of me because I was dealing with somebody who was consistently running over my auditory boundaries, which mean this person was raising their voice to me and using tone with me and doing certain things with me, and I was like over it. And no matter what I was trying, because what I was trying first of all was to convince, not to do that, this is not healthy, we don't do that, blah, 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 blah. And that was not working. So I finally was like, I got to try something else. And I decided that when I saw this t-shirt, I was like, I have to really have a hard and fast line. I'm going to change my glasses here, you guys. I really have to have a hard and fast line about boundaries. Like this can be something that that is non-negotiable in my life. Non-negotiable. Because the problem is that when we negotiate with this type of thing, right? We kind of are good at it sometimes, not good at it sometimes. That gives a person the leeway to have their way with us. And what we're teaching people, what our job is to teach people, is how we want to be treated. Period. And the truth is, you guys, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to come riding up and say, don't treat her like that, don't treat him like that, do this, do that. Because also, a lot of the things are happening behind the scenes, especially if you're dealing with a narcissist. They're not out there acting like a jackass in front of the world, right? They've got this entire persona that they're keeping up. So they're not going to be out there doing these things in front of your loved ones. And many times as children, sometimes we were protected, but sometimes we weren't. But there's this part inside of us that as children, we expect people to protect us because we're the weak ones. They should be protecting us. But many of us didn't have that protection in our youth. And it's fascinating to me when I coach people and I can now sense, some of people, what is going on with people many times when I coach, because there is so much information that I can teach to people that I have to really go inside. I have to get very quiet. I have to say some prayers and do a little bit of meditation before I coach my people, because I want to connect directly to their energy and only their energy, because I want to meet them exactly where they are at. I can't come over here with this information and come blowing that on them or whatever. I meet them right when they were at. And many times, shockingly enough, what I will pick up from them is that they weren't protected. No one protected them in their youth. This doesn't necessarily mean they were abused, but that could mean that for you, especially if are unprotected and then we were also abused. Okay? This can embed in our psyche, and we feel like we don't know how to even protect ourselves because it wasn't modeled for us. And many of the things that happen in our youth set the stage for how we show up as adults because our brain is programmed. It's very important to understand that the human brain does not fully form to somewhere between 23 and 25 years old. And I've heard for boys, even males, that it forms even a little later than it does for females. So you have to keep in mind all those years from birth up to 23 to 25 years old, our brain is growing. So it's taking in information from the outside world and it's calling it truth, it's calling it learning, and we will function from that place for the longest time unless or until we do the work to change that up. Now, sometimes that learning and programming is great. Sometimes it's serving to us, but sometimes it's not because it came from our brain and body trying to protect ourselves from our environments. Hence why we can turn into people pleasers, hence why we can turn into narcissists, hence why we don't know how to protect ourselves when we grow up through life. And I was one of those people. I was not an abusive, I'm going to use that term loosely because I wasn't in a physically abusive environment, although I am Gen X, so, we had our asses swatted. We had the things like that going on. But I wouldn't call it abuse per se. I wouldn't say that. Verbal abuse, yes, I would call it that. But growing up in the household that I did, where it was kind of like, TikTok jokes about Gen X being feral, right? There wasn't a lot of parenting going on. There wasn't a lot of really conscious teaching going on in my household. It might have been different for other people. In fact, it was extremely lax and we were kind of left to our own devices. So I didn't have a lot of protection happening. I didn't have, even being the only girl. Okay, I'm 1 out of 4. I'm 1 out of 5, and I am number 4. Okay, so I had 3 brothers, me, and then another brother. You would think, growing up with 3 older brothers, that there would be this protection mechanism that kicked in or whatever, but it really didn't. So I grew up not knowing how to protect myself. The only way I knew how to protect myself, circling back to what I started to say, was to fight back or to try to convince. Okay. And first of all, I would fight back if it got, something was happening, someone was doing something that I didn't like, and I would physically fight back with my brothers if it was that. I remember hitting them with a hairbrush because they would do something physical to me that I would try to, I wasn't strong enough to hit them back or to physically fight back. And I would do things like that. But words actually became my power. Words became my artillery. Words became my fire. And I would fight back verbally, okay? And I got what I would call a viper tongue on me back in the day, which means I could cut anybody down. I could get, I could get people to stop what they were doing just based on what I said. So of course, in my youth, I fine-tuned that, which served me in some ways and didn't serve me in other ways. But I will say the part that it did serve me is that I was unbullyable, which is really good, especially being someone, I'm a little person, 5'2", and, fairly thin my whole life. So I look like I could be bullyable, right? Because people that were more overpowering than me might try to come in, and, they did try to come in because bullies are ever present. But because of that, I was able to protect myself because they would just be kind of shocked at things I would say to them because they were like, oh my God, she's not scared. And I am grateful for that growing up in the environment that I did because was able to cultivate this. However, growing up that might have worked in childhood, but growing up into adulthood, that doesn't serve us. That can actually be an unhealthy relationship pattern. So I stopped being verbally aggressive with people. That wasn't hard because I didn't really like it anyway, and it didn't do any good. In adulthood, it doesn't do any good. But what I started to do is try to convince. So when the people were acting disrespectfully to my life, I would try to convince them, why this wasn't okay, why this wasn't this. And do you know that just did not work? It did here and there. I would say it would with my children because they were young and they were malleable, and I was teaching him a better way to function in the world, but it didn't work with my adult verbal abusers, or even just abusers, narcissists, right? It didn't work. And I was like, I couldn't have a sit-down conversation, nice and calm, and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I feel like this when you do that. We know all the things that they tell us that we're supposed to say, and it didn't work. It didn't work because narcissists are a different breed, right? They're going to do the thing that they do, and they're going to do it well because they've been doing it well since their childhood. They have found how to work the system to get their needs met. But many times that does involve things that are very crazy making in relationships. So it didn't work. And I was like, here I am doing all the things, communicating effectively, using I feel statements, being calm, being assertive, and it wasn't working with my narcissists. Because what were they doing? They were turning it around on me. They were gaslighting me. They were making me wrong. They were raising their voice. They were stonewalling. They were ignoring me. They were abandoning me. They were doing all the things that narcissists do. And I felt extremely stuck. I didn't know how to handle that situation because what I had grown to know what works was not working. So that brings me back, circling back around to the beginning of this broadcast. There's people in the room, and if you guys weren't here for this shirt I can't show you guys because it does say nope with a Snoopy, and then it says not today underneath. And the reason why I got on this broadcast today, I would say the inspiration for this broadcast today was because my friends had texted me something. I'm in this group called Mighty Soul Siblings, and it's me and two boys. Shocking because I get along with men so well. And two friends are really like close friends. We call each other soul siblings because we're like siblings to each other. And we were talking, and one sent this beautiful thing. Every day he sends this beautiful quote of some type. He's very articulate and beautiful person. And I sent a picture of me. I don't know, somehow it worked out that I sent this picture. I'm like, hey, this is my shirt today. Nope, not today. Which means that when I bought this shirt, I bought it at a Target or a Walmart somewhere. I don't buy t-shirts. It's not typically my gig. I have a girlfriend that loves these type of t-shirts with sayings on them. It's just like she buys them all the time and they're hysterical. But it's not been my gig. So I saw this t-shirt one day because I was dealing with someone in my life that was bringing me toxic behavior. And I looked at it and it said, nope, period, not today, period. Now, when I sent it to the group, I said, I bought this shirt because I had to get fierce about setting my boundaries. I needed something, I needed some fire under me. I needed something because the way I was setting boundaries was not working. I was doing it verbally. And I was trying to convince. And I was trying to show them the error of their ways, and it wasn't working. So I saw this shirt one day, and I was like, I'm buying that MF shirt. I am donning that thing. I'm going to wear the hell out of it. I did cut the neck out of it because I don't like t-shirts that are, And every time I put this t-shirt on, I was like, nope, not today. I will not allow people to treat me disrespectfully, period. And so if somebody raised their voice to me or spoke disrespectfully to me at all, and we can tell you guys when this happens because we're going to feel it. And many times when we're recovering from people pleasers, we have ignored our feelings because we have made the needs and wants and desires and well-being of everybody else priority. So we can get a little disconnected with our own feelings because we're not paying attention to them. We just override them. So that any time I started to train myself that I felt that's not okay type feeling, that I didn't no longer convince people. I didn't say, hey, don't talk that way to me. That's unhealthy. That's just. I put the hand up. I've said something like, let me draw it up right here. I said something probably to the effect of, hey, there's no reason to raise your voice to me. I'm listening to you. And if they continued, I said, if this is, you need to lower your voice. Talk to me respectfully and kindly. I'm here. And if it continued, I left. Out. Whether it was on the phone or whether it was in person, and whoever it was. I didn't care if it was the President of the United States standing there. I don't care who it was. I would have said, mm-mm. Because I've gotten to a place in my life where I know that I'm the only person that can protect me. Yes, occasionally there might be someone coming in on the wings that has my back, and that's beautiful. I'm always grateful when it does. But those people are not with us consistently. I'm alone in my car right now. I was alone driving through Starbucks. I was alone at the DMV the other day when someone at the DMV person was rude to me. And here's the thing, you guys, I'm not super sensitive. I don't take everything personally. So when I know that feeling comes up inside of me, it's legit. And I will take that moment to express to the person what's going to work better here. And I say it in a calm voice. I say it very calmly. And I actually, believe it or not, you guys, I say it with love in my heart. Because if I'm coming at it with ego, even if I'm acting calm, there's a vibe coming out of that. But when I say it with respect to that other person, my hands are clean. This is why I say we need to function more from our higher self than our lower self. To spit back at them or to say, I require respect, or something like this, I'm coming at it with ego. That is not high vibe. That's low vibe. But when I say, whoa, you're speaking to me in such a way that XYZ is how it makes me feel, I will, you need to calm that down, bring it down, talk calmly to me, lower your tone, and then I will be happy to listen to you, but I cannot listen to you like this. Now I will tell you something. I did this ad nauseum, repeating through certain situations in the same sitting. And it didn't do me any good. It wasn't until I applied an action boundary behind my words that I started to get results. Here's what that means. When words aren't working, actions will. When people aren't listening to our words, they'll have to listen to our actions. We have got to love ourselves so fiercely that we do not allow disrespect. Period. None. When I got up and I left, or however that looked, whatever action boundary that looked, walked out of the room, stopped talking. Sometimes it was just that. Sometimes it was family members. So if the person's going at me, I just ignored them. I said what I was going to say and I just ignored them. Continued to do whatever it was, dishes, watching my show, whatever it was. I just continued. They're like, you're not, and then they huff away, I'll puff. All of that huffing and puffing is manipulation strategies. Stop feeding into it. It's only your ego that wants to fight that. Set your boundary, or speak up. That doesn't work. Set your action boundary and you sit tight. You don't go chasing after them when they're walking out of the room mumbling what an asshole you are, or you think you're all that, or all those things that they do, or you don't love me, or you don't care, or whatever, all the things. Those are all manipulation strategies designed by their ego, period. You let it affect your ego, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This has never worked for me, not one time. Because two egos coming together, all that does, I liken it to two rams. If you think of two rams, rams with the horns, and they're doing this to each other, you've seen them do this, right? What happens? One will back down, kind of goes the other direction. Is anything solved? No. So if you look at two human beings going at it, eventually one's just going to back down because they're tired of it. They don't want to argue, whatever it might be, but nothing is solved. No one's learned anything. Stand by. I usually let it sit here while I'm having these talks, and then it gets cold and I have to go home and heat it up in the microwave. The other day, I went and put something else in the microwave later in the evening, and there was my half coffee because I had forgotten about it. So I'm going to try to drink it. Okay, what I have learned about setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, because setting is only part of it, you guys. Many of us are willing to speak up, okay? This is why we're going at it with the narcissist, because we know it's wrong. We know what they're doing is not okay. We're sensing things. Our intuition is kicking up. There's all kinds of things going on there. We know it's not okay. So we speak up to our narcissist, and because they know how to smash us down into the ground, we end up weaker. Okay? But here's the best part. This is turnaroundable. People that are like, oh, I've just been so abused by the narcissist. Yep, you have. So have I. Yep. I've been abused by many people in my life. And guess what? It's never too late. There is no such thing as it being too late for you to protect yourself. Now, the reason why I use the word protect, because I want to go here, is that there is a thing that people can do when they've had a lot of pain in their past, and that is to guard their heart. So I talked about armor around the heart, okay? And what that means is they're not letting anybody in, but they're also not letting any love out, okay? They're very, very armored. That is something that you need to heal and work on. But if we think of the word protection, that means safety. That means pulling us in and saying, no. And some of us have a hard time cultivating what that feeling even means. Okay, like, what does it mean to protect myself? I don't even know what that looks like. And I invite you to look at it like this. Look at it as somebody or something that you love so much that you need to protect, whether it's an animal, or it's an elderly person, or a young child. It can be your own. It could be a niece, a nephew, a grandkid. It could be anybody. It could be your friend's kid. Something that you love so much that you know you would never let anything happen to. That, and you know it, like you know it, okay? That's the feeling you need to cultivate for yourself. Part of this healing journey is going through, and we are resetting the foundation. Some people call it reparenting, which I thought was a brilliant term. And this, again, doesn't mean that our parents were, 100% bad, okay? A lot of times it's very difficult for people to really pinpoint some of the things that happened to them that contributed to certain behaviors, because it involves their parents, and they love their parents. And every time sitting in my coaching chair, they're just like, well, I love my mom, but she did this. I'm like, I know. And she loves you. And we're all innocent children of God doing the best we can. This does not mean that we hate mom or dad. This means we're recognizing where the pattern came from. Okay? So many times we have to reparent ourselves, maybe completely, or just in little small areas. And this is okay, because guess what? We're calling it reparenting. And that's a brilliant term. I like these terms people come up with. But the truth is, what we're doing is we're returning to our worth. We're returning to the unconditional love that is still inside us of Source that we came here with. It's our true worth. Okay? The subtitle of my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, that's super close, you guys, super close to coming out, is a spiritual guide to reclaim your capital T true, capital W worth, your true worth, your innate worth as a child of God. And then it says, and attract the love you deserve. Okay, I didn't say to attract the love you, trust me. I went rounds. That's what you have to do when you're naming a book, because I really wanted my subtitle to nail it. And attract the love you deserve. Here's the deal. When we clean up that inside of self, what happens is our vibration shifts and we will attract that to us. Boom. That's how it happens. But people don't really understand that at first. Okay, so what I mean by setting, thank you for the thumbs up and the love, and the people who are in my room. If you guys, I would absolutely love if you just type into the chat where you're from, what your name is. I can't see the people that are in this room. Maybe it's because I am on my phone. Maybe it's different on my PC. But I would love if you guys type in the chat where you're from. I would love to know. So anyway, the most important part here is to get fierce about your protectiveness. You got to get fierce. You got to be protective to yourself the way you are to a small child, an animal, or an elderly adult. Someone who's weaker and needs your protection. I will tell you this, you guys. That turnaround, that shift that happens inside, the willingness to speak up becomes magnificent. It's not only speak up, but to walk away. Now, here's the thing. Taking narcissists out of it for right now, well, you could probably put them in here too. We are dealing with toxic behavior all the time. Okay? It's not just the narcissists in our life. Okay? Because some people have toxic behavior that are not narcissists. They're just, we all have had some type of unhealthy behavior in our lives. Okay? Whatever it might be. But this narcissist term is huge right now, and it is a real thing. Okay? It is a real thing. But not every toxic person is a narcissist. And some of you might think, oh, I can just let that go. I can just let that little tiny behavior go. Or, oh, they're just in a bad mood. Give an inch, take a mile. You know that whole phrase? Here's the thing, you guys. Every single time, without fail, when we consistently hold a boundary with someone who is treating us poorly, if that person loves and values you, they are going to shift to keep you in their life. I'm letting that float. Every single time, without fail, when you maintain a healthy boundary, a person who loves and values you and wants to keep you in their life is going to shift to meet that boundary so that they can keep you. As recovering people pleasers, we're so afraid of being disliked. We're so afraid of being the asshole. We're so afraid of looking selfish. But unless or until you are willing to set and maintain healthy boundaries, the pattern is going to repeat and repeat and repeat. And when it comes to children, especially our own children, they're going to grow up into adults that treat us like that. Okay? First, we have a little bit of power over them, but there's going to be a point where we don't have any because they were grown-ass adults. Teach your kids to respect you now as equally as you will respect them. Let me tell you, families that respect each other, peace is prevalent. Peace is everywhere because they take turns speaking. They value each other. They catch themselves when they speak over each other. They're like, my bad, continue. They give each other time to talk. I remember, this still irks me, I'm just going to say, I probably need to do a little work on this. I remember when I was dealing with somebody who was toxic. And I spoke to one of their family members about it. Because this was bad. Like, it was bad. It was over and over again, disrespectful behavior. And I was probably going to end the relationship. And I spoke to one of their family members about it because many times I didn't speak up about this stuff and then no one really understood why I left. So I then started talking about it. That's another thing. Hope I remember this. The not talking about it. I'm trying to put it in my brain. Anyway, so I started to speak up about it. And that person did not validate the fact that this person was being toxic with me. Yelling and screaming and just being a lunatic. Having an adult tantrum. This person said, Well, maybe he just doesn't feel heard. My middle name should be Good Listener. Kristen, Good Listener, Brown. Kristen, Active Listener, Brown. It should be my middle name. I'm such a good listener. I love listening. So don't tell me that bro felt unheard. No. Bro had toxic behavior. Bro had an unhealthy way to handle his emotions and was bleeding and blasting it onto me. Oh, bro didn't feel heard. No. No. Because I listen. However, the listening stops when voices are raised to me. That is violence. When I began to really understand that I had to take care of me, when I knew that I could shift the love and fierceness that I had for other people, I was a bully buster in my life. I think I've told you guys this before. I'm little, even littler when I was in high school and grade school. Skinny, not even 100 pounds. And man, someone would bully somebody and my little tiny ass would be right up in that. I can't stand bullying. It's even hard for me to watch it on TV. Like, I have such an aversion to it. Okay? And here I was allowing myself to get bullied from partners. I had to take that fierceness I had for other people and I had to turn it towards little Kristen. Little Kristen that nobody had protected. And I sat down. Okay, I'm going to share this with you guys. Well, let me tell you this real quick. I sat down next to little me. I put my arm around her shoulders in a visualization. I said, I got you. I will never allow anybody to treat you like this again. I will remove you every time if they can't simmer their shit down. Period. As a bonus for the people who purchase and read my book, there is going to be a page inside my book that's going to have a QR code that you can hover above. And I'm giving you guys 3 self-love meditations as a bonus gift. One of the self-love meditations is Secure Your Inner Child, where I walk you through the process that I just talked to you about. We need to secure that baby inside of us. That innocent child is still there, doesn't know what to do, nobody's taking care of it, all right? We have to become our own heroes. We have to become our own protectors. And it doesn't have to look violent on our side to do that. When that thing comes at us, usually the person's going to get a look from me first if we're in person, like, excuse me? What's going on here? It's usually pretty lighthearted with me. At first, it's like, whoa, because I'm a jokester. And I can't draw it up right now, but I'll lighthearted first, be like, whoa. Not sure what's happening here right now. I'll do something. Or I'll turn around and go, I'll do something like that. I'm just being authentic. I will, like, what's happening here? I'll do something like that first. And if they continue, well, you and blah, 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 and they're trying to blame me and yell at me and, all the things people do, I'll go, I am so happy to listen to you. Tell me all about me. But I can't listen to that tone. That ignites a fearful response inside of me, a fight, flight, or freeze, and I'm not having this. I'm the steward of my nervous system. That's attacking my nervous system. Calm down, and we'll have a conversation. If they can, they do. Now remember, I'm okay with emotions. This is not about emotions. Emotions are serving. We need our emotions. It's called an emotional guidance system. It is just as serving as the cardiovascular system, or the respiratory system, or the digestive system. Emotional guidance system. Okay, it's there to tell us what's wrong, what's working, what's not working, what needs our attention. Okay? So if somebody's having a day and they're just venting and their voice is a little loud, they're like, oh my God, and then the guy came in and he did this, fine. Cool. But if someone's trying to have a conversation about me and them, and they're coming at me, there's a different energy involved with it, and I know that energy. Because it will activate that amygdala, the reptilian brain. Boom, fight, flight, or freeze. That's what's going to happen. Dr. Joe Dispenza says fight. He doesn't say flight. I think he says hide. I don't know. He uses a couple other terms, and I like that too. Those work too, because sometimes people just hide when their nervous system is activated. They go and they slink away and they go hide somewhere. But the point is, if you are talking to somebody and your nervous system is getting activated, that's toxic. That's toxic. Now, I don't mean, oh God, they're talking about a topic I really don't want to talk about. This is making me nervous. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. That makes me nervous, or, you know, I'm having an emotion around that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about nervous system. That nervous system activation, you have just been alerted from your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful body that's got this gorgeous system called the emotional guidance system, and it's telling you something's wrong. Listen to it. Now, we'll also say, this is going to take a minute. When we first start setting and maintaining healthy boundaries, it's not perfect. It's not perfect from go. Stand by. It's going to take some practice because we're not used to it. All right? And it's going to feel uncomfortable. But if we stay with what's familiar, which is not doing anything at all, or trying to convince, or yelling and screaming back, or doing all those things that are familiar. Remember, I said that was wired in me to be that way as a child. That's how I got things done. That was no longer working. I had to get uncomfortable. I had to slow down my processes. I had to get really freaking conscious about my behavior. Forget about them. How are you responding? How are you reacting? Are you protecting yourself? Are you loving yourself? Respect and protect, second tenet of self-love. Okay? When you start to apply these things to your life, you guys, it starts to grow. It starts to magnify. It just starts to grow. And you get better and better and better at it. At the same time, shockingly, your confidence grows. Your worthiness cup fills. All of those things that have contributed to the bad behavior, not the bad behavior, the dysfunctional behavior, starts to heal. Boundaries can do that for us. Now, this goes both ways, and I do actually talk about this in my, oh, let me take this off. I'm going to take off my jacket. I talk about this in my upcoming book, that I once had a conversation with this guy, and he's a dating coach, and he's telling women constantly, he's like, set boundaries, set boundaries, set boundaries. We were on a live conversation. And I said to him, you have to understand something. It's not always easy for someone to set a boundary if they don't have practice doing it. He goes, well, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. You just got to start setting the boundaries. And I'm like, yes, and I agree with you. But sometimes people have difficulty doing that. So what comes first, healthy boundaries or self-love? Do I have to have self-love in order to set healthy boundaries? Or does healthy boundaries give me self-love? And the answer is both. The answer is both. But he was telling people just go straight to the boundary setting and they couldn't. Like, they literally could not do it because they didn't have the the cerebral architecture required to be able to do it. So as you're doing your healing work, which is what my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, is all about, you guys. It's all the healing work, okay? And it answers all the questions that could possibly arise, because I've been doing this now for 12 years, 10 years, I don't know. And it answers all the questions, right? Because people go, well, what about this? It's going to answer all those questions for you. But what's required is that we do all of it at the same time. We start to love ourselves. We start to set and maintain healthy boundaries. We fine tune the practices. Well, shit, I didn't respect myself yesterday. Okay? Grace and forgiveness of self, tenet number 1. Going to give myself grace and forgive myself for that. And now I'm going to course correct. How can I do this? I'm going to bring it to God. How can I do this differently next time? Please help me so that I can do this differently next time. It's slowing down. This is why I'm a massive advocate for meditation. Meditation creates space, gaps in our thinking. Okay? Because if we're obsessively overthinking, we're just repeating the same thoughts over and over and over again. Boom, 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 which is going to create the same behaviors over and over and over again. Okay? Because thoughts create behaviors. The body follows the mind. So we start to create gaps in our thinking. In those gaps, what comes in is the new awareness. Pause. Pause. I need to pause. This person's yelling at me. What do I do? How do I handle this? This person's calling me names. This person's bullying me. This person's projecting on me. Whatever it might be. How do I handle this? By having that toolkit readily available for you, you'll be able to pick a tool. Okay, I need to respect myself. Okay, how do I respect myself? By setting and maintaining a healthy boundary. Okay, here goes. I'm going to try it. And you set and you do it and you see what happens. Now, I will tell you this from the start. Some people that you set healthy boundaries with are actually going to be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. And they're going to want to do it good, especially if you're dealing with someone who's a people pleaser. Again, toxic behaviors don't always come from narcissists. Okay? We're the walking wounded. We got our stuff. We got our weird programming from the past. But those people will be like, my bad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that, or whatever. And they'll correct it. But some people, the second you set that boundary, they're going to make the fact that you set a boundary wrong. They're going to do what oh, you're all that. Or I'm trying to think of some of the things that, on the fly, sometimes it's hard for me to think of things. Oh, that's right. You're a coach. You know everything, Kristen. Oh, so you think this self-love stuff, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you guys cannot believe what has come my way. And I just sit there and go, I don't care what they say. Because they're pulling out the arrows. They're pulling out the arrows. You know, they're getting out there trying to shoot me down. I have a choice whether I feed into that drama or not. They're going to use anything they could possibly use to make me wrong. I used to feed into it so bad. I don't anymore. I go, okay. And when you calm down, I'll talk to you. And I remove myself. I want to hear, but I can't hear you like this. And I will remove myself. Over time, if those people if they were adults and they were really hardwired, it took a minute. Okay, because they're really hard. But the younger ones, like the kids and stuff, or the people pleasers, like I said, they got it quickly. They're like, okay, kids are going to try things with us. That's part of their growing up. Okay, how do I get what I want? And they're going to try. They lie. Kids lie. They try to guilt us. They try to manipulate us. I have 3 of the most stellar human beings, I believe. I'm just going to say this. You guys probably do too. 3 stellar human beings that came out of my body that walk this planet. Good human beings. Good human beings. And they've tried all those things. course they did. They're kids. They're grown. 2 of them are grown now. Did you get what I'm saying? Just because people try stuff with us doesn't mean they're a narcissist or they're a psychopath or they're a sociopath or whatever. People, the ego, remember, we're part ego. The ego wants to get its way. So it's going to construct things to try to get its way. So we have a choice to feed into that or to not feed into that. And I choose to not feed into that. Now, there are times that I have weak days. Maybe I'm tired. When I'm working a lot at my computer, I can get headaches behind my eyes, or my eyes can burn. Yesterday, I had an eye burning. Oh my God, like from 3:30 on. Plus, we're in Arizona. It's really dry right now. This is the time the heat is on. Plus, there's no rain. So it's really dry here right now. That's why I'm constantly drinking while I'm talking to you guys. Anyway, my eyes burned so bad yesterday. They were just burning, and I was like, oh my God, right? And I forgot why I'm talking about that. Oh shoot, I forgot what the point was with the burning eyes. Anyway, I don't remember what I was going to say about that. Maybe it'll come back. But my point is that when, I think it was somebody trying to, I don't remember what it was, you guys. I'm sorry, it just left. So my point of this entire talk today is I want you guys to get fierce about taking care of yourself. I want you guys to get, now remember, fierceness is an inner strength that's really grounded. It is not crazy. Okay? Fierce does not mean crazy. Fierce does not mean loud. Fierce is grounded, powerful strength. GPS. When you are in that grounded, powerful strength, you don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to do other things. Because let me tell you, that person knows that they can't F with you. They know. This is why healing ourselves from the inside out, if we have had the habit and the pattern of attracting toxic and narcissistic people to us, okay? Healing from the inside out is what is going to repel them. Because you're going to change you. I will see myself now shocked at the things that I'm willing to say that are non-people pleasing anymore. Okay? They're respect, protect, or just assertiveness that I will say to people that, like, maybe acquaintances. For some reason, people I don't know super well, and this might be true for you guys too, people I don't know super well, I will tend to like pussyfoot around a little bit more, or I tended to in the past. And it'd be like, oh yeah, and like tried to make it sound really fluffy and great. And I'm like, why am I doing this with people that I'm acquaintances with? I don't do it with my friends, and I don't do it with my family. Why am I doing this? There's a reason why you don't want to do this. Because that pussyfooting around, that too nice, that over nice situation is going to call to you the narcissist. Because people are like, oh, I can exploit them. Okay? So what changed in my life is I started to whoever, honest, straight up. I was invited to do a talk recently, and once it was explained to me how it went down, I was like, nope. And this person was like, oh, yeah, and this and that, and rah, rah, and rah. And I said, I'm going to pass. No explanation. I said nothing. I'm going to pass. Thank you. Old Kristen, oh, I'm going to pass because, and I would try to make something up, or told, yeah, I got to, it's just not really what I thought it was going to be. And I give them all these reasons to try to talk me out of it. Nope. Oh, no, it's not like that. It's like this. Oh, no, now it's just a hard no. Which is another great way to check in with yourself where you need a boundary. It's either an F yes or it's a no. And I'm saying F yes because if someone's like, hey, do you want to go to this? And I'm like, F yes. It's a yes. If I'm I don't know. If I'm in that state, I know that I'm either going to try to talk myself into it because I feel like I'm supposed to, or I have to, or it's going to hurt someone's feelings, or something like that. So if things aren't an F yes for me, they're a no. And now let me explain this a little bit further. Can even be like, okay, going to the grocery store. You guys follow me for some time. You know that's not my favorite thing. Of course, that's not going to be an F yes. Okay, that's something that I have to do. I'm talking about requests that are made of me, places that I'm invited to, opportunities that come my way. All right. As a content creator, I get a lot of opportunities coming my way. Do this, do that. Will you do this? Will you give this talk? Join me on this Instagram live, all these things. And I don't answer right away. Old people pleaser. Sure, just tell me when. I will move mountains to be there. I will compromise every little bit of my sacred self to make you happy. Now I'm like, pause. Yeah, I do. I do want to do that. Or, you know what? And this is the truth. I have extremely busy week. That would be difficult for me. But thank you anyway. I take things as they come up in my life, and I'm willing to address them as they come up. Take the time, you guys, to respect and honor you. You are the only person who can save you. No one's coming. There might be an occasional person every once in a while that's got your back. But you are really the only person that can save you because you are by yourself a lot. Okay? Not meaning you're by yourself all the time, but you guys get what I'm saying. I don't want to try to explain all that. I have to disclaim a lot because when you are a public figure like this, let me tell you something. People want to come out and argue with you with every little tiny semantic word you say. They will come out, well, you said it like this. And okay, you guys get the feel. You get the feel, what I'm trying to say. Hold on. I'm look through my notes, make sure I got everything, slow down, get conscious, train yourself. Yes, this is going to be about training yourself. It's going to be training yourself to make yourself a priority. It's going to be training yourself to protect yourself. It's going to be training yourself to require respect, to command respect. Okay? Earlier on in this broadcast, I said that the people who love and value you will acquiesce at some point. They're going to shift something inside of themselves. They're going to actually grow, is what it boils down to. They're going to grow to keep you in their life. Okay? Your boundaries can be a catalyst for other people's growth. Narcissists, not so much. They don't give a hoot if you stop talking to them. They may. Depends how deep on the spectrum they are. Okay? But they may or may not. They may just leave you. My hardcore narcissist, no matter how much I spoke up or no matter what I did, it didn't matter. Because his game was getting attention. If I wasn't giving it to him, he'd go find someone else to give it to him. It didn't matter. And that's when you kind of know what you're dealing with, you guys. And it's a sad reality. When we're like, okay, right on, I'm going to start setting boundaries, I'm going to start doing, and then it's this really sad reality when you know it too. Their energy is so pulled back from you, you know. And at that point, a lot of times we want to blame ourselves. We want to go, why are they so distant from me? What did I do? You did nothing. You did nothing. You're dealing with a narcissist. They don't care. They're looking for supply. And for the 10 minutes that you're their supply, they're in. I could tell you guys stories. I probably need to consult an attorney because I love telling stories. But when they involved a certain someone in my path, I'm not as sure where it falls into slander. So I don't really tell a lot of stories. So But I'll tell you this story about this guy Mark and this girl Joan. And Mark was a narcissist. And every time, even when he was home with her, he was constantly had to be communicating with somebody else. He was doing dastardly things. And then he started this job where he was gone for quite a bit of time. And while he was gone, he started to get schmoozy with the people that he worked with. And of course, one was female. And when things were schmoozy and going well, Mark ignored his wife, Joan. But when Mark got insecure and scared, he was all up in Joan, calling Joan from overseas. You think she couldn't tell? He called when he needed the supply. Now, granted, at this time, Joan didn't know what narcissism was, but she still felt it. She still felt what was happening here. She's like, energy in, energy out. This is my husband. This is weird. This isn't the way it should go. So she'd bring it up and then whoop, he'd push her out. See what I'm saying, you guys? It's very, very important on this journey that we don't try to label every little thing and every little person. Even the word toxic, you guys, I gotta be honest, I use it because algorithms love it. All right? And people use that word. It's pop culture right now. And it's not that I'm against it, but I so much more prefer unhealthy. Healthy and unhealthy. Healthy and unhealthy. If my child is screaming at me or blaming me for something or trying to make me wrong, I don't want to call them toxic. Right? It's just an unhealthy behavior. They're learning. See what I'm saying? So a lot of this trying to figure things out and trying to label these people, we can get really caught up in that and spend a lot of energy over there. Your energy is not serving over here. All you need to do is say, how do I feel? How is this person treating me? Does this feel okay to me? Is this right? Do I feel loved and supported and protected and getting my needs met and I'm cared about? Oh, got someone on here. How do we forgive ourselves for letting me describe my narcissist? I still feel humiliated from some. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, sweetheart. If you were on earlier, Julia, I was talking about the 3 self-love meditations that I'm giving as a reader's bonus to my book. Grace and Forgiveness of Self is one of them. Okay? Not only that, I have an entire section on forgiveness of self in this book. I'm not sure if it was you that had asked me this before, but really the key is, this is a very, very short version. The key is to understand that you did the very best you could at that time. You are an innocent child of God. I look back at my past, some of the things I did. Yeah, I'm sure you are mad at him. I'm sure you are. And with just reason. And I'm going to say with that, express that anger in a very healthy way. I want you to journal about it. Go hit a pillow. Go to a rage room. Your anger is warranted. I'm sure you were treated horribly. All right? But you can forgive yourself and still be angry with him. I want you to know that. That's soul and separate. That's about forgiveness of him. That can come later because we need to forgive people too for healing. However, you, sis, you just got to look at yourself and go, that's as good as it got in that moment. Let me tell you something. My second boyfriend punched me in the face in the passenger seat of his car while we were at a gas station for I don't know what. Just something I said. You'll get there. I just want to not even care anymore. You're going to get there, Julia. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. I'll talk about that. Punched me in the face. Literally punched me in the face. You guys can tell I have a crooked nose. See that? Till this nostril's like this. That's a headbutt. Second boyfriend ever in my life. Um, I was told I was going to be carried out to the Indian reservation here. Scottsdale, we kind of have this beautiful Pima Indian reservation, and left there. Okay. I had a beer bottle thrown at my head. Luckily, it whizzed past me. He tackled. I caught him cheating. This is this one. Called him out on it. He tackled me on his friend's couch and chipped my tooth. Okay. I stayed. That was humiliating back in the day. As you can tell now, I wear it proudly. I can talk about this like nothing. You want to know more? I can tell you anything you want to know. I was strangled by my ex-husband. My tsunami husband. Am I allowed to say that? Okay. The second boyfriend too, he strangled me in the kitchen of my parents' house where I literally had no air going in or out. Like I literally thought I was going to die. I stayed. I forgive myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to handle this. I had no training, no teaching. I had no one paying attention. I had no one checking in with me. I had no one when I was growing up through life going, "You are amazing, beautiful soul. Do not ever let a man treat you poorly." I didn't have that. How could I have done any better than I did in that moment? I couldn't have. Because that's as good as it got. I forgive myself. I was a babe in the woods. I was a brand new babe. I didn't know. Then growing up in life and it happens again and he leaves me, right? Why? Because I hadn't learned. I hadn't learned from then up until then. I still didn't know how to handle this. I didn't know what I was dealing with. There was no Kristen Brown on the internet telling me differently. See what I'm saying, you guys? I didn't know about self-love. I didn't know about unworthiness. I knew nothing. I thought I could talk him out of it. It didn't work. I would highly recommend, Julia, for wanting to being fearful that you can't forgive yourself. You gotta sit with yourself. You gotta let go of that judgment that you have about yourself. Would you judge a friend this way? Yeah, I know. Oh, thanks. That's sweet. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I really do. And we girls got to stick together, right? And we boys are abused too. I have a loved one who was in an abusive relationship with a woman. Yep. Alcoholic, physically abusive woman. Yep. Sweetest guy ever. Shit. It's bad. So I'm just going to say to you that all these feelings that you have swirling up inside of you, they're legit. They came there for a reason, and they're going to take you down if you don't handle them. This morning, I felt resentment about something. I was just driving, right, going to get my coffee. I was like, I could feel it in my head. Pissed off about someone, and I went, oh, okay. You're getting resentful. All right. Take some time, Kristen, do some work with this. And I did, because I'm better at it now. I'm like, all right. And I did the work around that. And it left me, because I know that's toxic energy in my body. And this is a temple. This thing's a miracle. I don't want that toxic energy in my body. So I caught it, and I knew that it was toxic for me, not for them. And forgiveness will release that toxic tie between us and the perpetrator. Now, I also will say forgiveness sometimes needs to happen in layers, and sometimes it takes years, and that's okay. That's okay. I just heard a story the other day where my future son-in-law went to this convention, and this guy was speaking, and the guy who was speaking said that one of his family members were murdered. And he said he forgave the murderer. He said it took me 5 years, but I forgave the murderer because I knew that was crap I didn't want to be carrying around. Forgiving is not condoning. It'll never be okay that he broke my nose. I didn't even know it was broken, you guys, or else I would have gotten that thing straight. But anyway, and I didn't get black eyes. I just noticed it was crooked. Yeah, I'm at the years if therapy, yoga, meditation, extension, but I'll keep it up. You might just need some powerful tools. I really hope, Julia, that if and when you get my book, that you download the freebie. Actually, you can do it now. You can do it now. I forgot I did this. Oh my God, you guys. I made the landing page, but I also put it on the home page of my website. You can opt in. So you can opt in to get that, and you get those 3 meditations. Oh my God, I forgot. I did that. I offered it to everybody else too. I would say consistently, because here's what heals us. Here's what changes our brains. It's focused intention with elevated emotion. This is not me making this up. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza 101 neuroplasticity. Okay? This is science. Focused intention with elevated emotion. Okay? So when you apply love to that thing, all right? And I'm trying to think in the grace and forgiveness meditation, I just recorded this last week. What happens in that? Yeah. We are going in and we are retraining. Okay? So you can retrain yourself to forgive yourself. And it may not happen through one time listening to the meditation. And these meditations aren't long, you guys. I was going to call them mini, but anymore, I get something called a meditation in my inbox every day, and it's literally 60 seconds. So there's 7 minutes. One's like 7:26, 7:30, and 7:22 or something. Like they're all within the 7-minute mark, so they're not long. But if you can really quiet your mind and get into that space, and here's my absolute most favorite, hands down, effective prayer ever is this. I, God, source, universe, whatever you call your higher power, I am willing to forgive blank or myself. I'm willing to forgive. And if you say that and you feel resistance inside of you, then it goes like this. God, I am willing to be willing to forgive blank. Still got some resistance inside of you? God, I am willing to be willing to be willing. You feel a little bit of expansiveness, just a little bit. You've entered. Okay? Then you take a deep breath and you say thank you. Thank you for handling this for me. I had a Mac Daddy betrayal from family members, step family members. We did, my family did, Mac Daddy. Like head shaking, oh my God. You tell anybody and they're like, what? You've got to be kidding, like that bad. Oh, I was angry and I was mad and I was carrying it around, I couldn't forgive him. I couldn't do it. It wasn't coming. And I practiced forgiveness. But it was a Mac Daddy and it wasn't coming. And then one day in the shower, I do a lot of my healing work in the shower. I know I say it all the time, shower and driving. One day in the shower, I said, God, I am willing to forgive them. Nope. Resistance. Okay. God, I'm willing to be willing. Resistance. God, I am willing to be willing to forgive them. I felt it. I didn't chase it down a rabbit hole. I just said, okay, thank you. And I went about my business. I kid you not. Every time I had thought about them or talked about this story prior to that moment, I'd get inside. I'd get mad. I get so mad. I wasn't screaming at people, but I just like, God, the energy was rough. After I did that healing practice, about 4 or 5 days later, the subject came up and I was neutral. I just was like, yeah. Intellectually, it's still not okay. It's not right. It's not, it'll never be okay. But I didn't have that angst, that physical energy attached to it anymore. And I was like, I told you guys, it was years I couldn't budge the forgiveness until I took it to God. I said, do for me what I can't do for me. Okay? I will never be friends with them again. They will never be my family again. I don't want to ever run into them in a store. It's gone. What they did will never be okay, but I don't have that toxic energy anymore, and that's what matters the most. Here's another thing I want you guys to know, and I do talk about this in my book as well. Many times, people think forgiveness means the anger is going to go away. Just telling you guys right now about that story, it still pisses me off. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Okay? Wrong doesn't all of a sudden become right because we forgive somebody. All right? Certain stories are going to elicit certain emotions from us. A sad story is still a sad story. A betrayal story is still a betrayal story. Do you see what I'm saying, you guys? Long time ago, when I was, do you care if they see you thriving now or sharing your, I could give a rat's ass. I don't care. Nope. That would only be my ego. That would only be my ego wanting that. Okay? When I function from my higher self, I don't care what other people think. Have I been that place before, Julia? Yes. Yes. But then that was, again, my ego, and that doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel expansive. It doesn't feel peaceful. And, oh, God, I was all about, I wanted them to get theirs. I went all the things. Can't wait for their karma. That never served me. That's why I did this live on the karma. Someone in the group here asked me, do narcissists get their karma? I thought it was alive. I think it was alive. Anyway, I did record something about that. But yeah. But the thing is that the story will never be okay. Okay? And a long time ago, when I was in college, I was in, what class was it? Interpersonal communications class. And she gave us a list of things. We had to write a paper on it. And I scanned the list. Yeah. I scanned the list and it said, forgiveness. And I was like, okay, what's your forgiveness? So I started researching forgiveness, and this is going to age me, but this is back in typewriter days, and I had to get books. I had to get books on the topic. So I was looking at reading forgiveness and all these things, and one thing it said is that forgiveness and anger can live in the same house. And I was like, wow. And I kept that with me, because here's one thing you got to know about me, you guys. I don't just listen to every little tiny thing I say. I'm not a skeptic, but I'm healthily skeptical. I just really, if I hear something, I want you guys to do this with me all the time. I tell you all the time to do this. Hear what you're hearing, process it through your inner knowing, and say, does this feel good for me? Actually, it's not even good. Does it feel capital T truth for me? Because sometimes good is the ego deciding whether it's good or not. Capital T truth. Does it resonate as a universal truth to me? If it does, you want to adopt it. If it doesn't, you don't. That was a great concept, but it didn't necessarily resonate. So for all this time, from my 20s till now, I have wondered and played with that concept. Can anger and forgiveness live in the same house? Because you're going to hear people say, if you're still angry, you haven't forgiven. And I call bullshit. Because if you came up to me right now and told me a crappy story about how you were done wrong, it would probably elicit anger in me. That's not okay. Right? Of course, that would be the emotion from hearing something like betrayal. So if I'm telling myself the same story again or replaying the story, it might make me mad again. It's just an emotion. The key is that it doesn't stick. The toxic, like I just want to like, when it's talked about, that is the key for me. Yeah. Oh, bye, Julia. Thanks for being here. Mwah. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, I'm about to sign off anyway. You're at the end of it. So I want you. We went from setting boundaries to forgiveness, and that's okay because that's what these lives are about. And I truly believe we can't hear this stuff enough. The more we hear it, the stronger that we get because we're forming the synaptic connections in our brain. Okay? And we're learning. That's what learning is. It's forming new synaptic connections in our brain. And memory is repeating those. Okay? When we repeat it, that wires in and then that becomes our behavior. So now back to the boundaries topic here with me setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. At first, it kind of took a lot, like someone doing a lot to me to be able to set a boundary. That has like drastically decreased. Now even a raised voice that again is attacking towards me, not just someone having an emotion. It's like, When your goal is inner peace, you're going to do what it takes to protect that. And in the process, my sisters and brothers, your healthy boundaries can and will be a catalyst for healing and change and growth for the people who love and value you. Boundaries serve both parties. Always and every time. Okay? Maybe not with the narcissist, like I was saying. With an extreme narcissist, what happens with them is they have to hit rock bottom at some point. They got to lose everything in their life. They've got to do something before they crack open. People say that narcissists are unhealable, and I disagree because it is the same thing with people pleasing with us. It is wired into us. Shame and unworthiness that we get in our youth turns into one of two things: people pleasing or narcissism. All about everybody else, all about self. Okay? That's it. That's how that programming of us turns out. Okay? For actually, it's with people pleasing too. I was just going to say something. I'm like, no. So for many of us as human beings, the pain of staying the same has to outweigh the fear or discomfort of change. Because remember, we like familiar. We like familiar. We like familiar. And it took me having that rock bottom moment where I was homeless and about to be homeless, had no means of income, 3 kids in tow, all the things, for me to go, what the bleep happened here? What is happening? Why do I keep attracting these type of people? It was that question that changed the course of my life. If I was down the same familiar, I went, whoop. My trajectory changed the second I asked that question, why do I keep attracting these people? This is what will happen for you. The thing is, I feel like there's no research to back this, just from my studies. When I say studies, it's not that I'm studying Google. I mean, observing the world. I'm a researcher. I watch and ask a lot of questions. I feel as though people pleasers tend to open up and crack open a little bit more. And I think that's because they're in touch with their emotions. Okay? That's why people used to call it empath narcissist dynamic. We're more in touch with our emotions. We're the feelers. Okay? So we feel their behavior a lot, especially if we're HSPs, highly sensitive people. Where they're so closed down and guarded and so superficial, I don't feel like they feel the pain like we do until it gets really, really undeniably bad. So can narcissists heal? Yes. This is not genetics, which is sociopathy and psychopathy. Okay, that's genetics. This is a learned behavior, a way of coping and dealing, just like people pleasing is. They can heal. Do they want to is the question. Not when they're getting their way. Not when they can discard you and find somebody else and then discard you. Not when they can just get a different job. Not when they can just go find somebody else to get away with it with. See what I'm saying? But yet, people on the selfish side of the spectrum, okay, this being narcissism over here, but the selfish side, okay, I have seen people with my own eyes, through my own coaching, heal, that were on this side of the spectrum, tending towards the narcissistic side. But they wanted to. They didn't like the way they were. It took some time for them to get to that point, but they didn't like it. And they started to heal. They started to do the work. So I wouldn't hold on to it. Like, if you're with someone and they are just absolutely never taking ownership or cracking open or looking at you and saying, my bad, I'm going to work on this. If you don't have that going on, yeah, their person's not going to heal. They're pretty stuck. It's very safe to say. And it may not be the next relationship or the next one or the next one until they can pull it out, until they can figure it out. They may not ever figure it out. Okay? Where it's doable, okay, with people that are on the right side, the selfish side of the spectrum, is that when you set those boundaries, they're growing from them. Okay? Because some people are just selfish. It doesn't mean they're necessarily a narcissist. Some people have toxic behaviors. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a narcissist. All right, you guys, I'm just going to read down here. Yep, that's it. I covered everything that I wanted to cover without even looking at my notes. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this live. I love you. I love being here. I love answering your questions. I love your interactions. I super love when you guys hit the thumbs up button, little button, little Mr. Thumb, because that activates algorithms and gets views to my channel. I super appreciate that so I can continue to grow my channel. And I would super love if you guys are new here that you subscribe and turn on notifications and share with someone. If you're like, oh man, someone needs boundaries, send this to them. Let them take the time to listen to it on their own. It's an hour and 22 minutes long. That's a long talk. But man, I will tell you guys something. When I'm listening to something and that thing is resonating, like I'll listen to it on a walk, like an hour talk on a walk or something, I save that thing and I will listen to it 4 more times. Because I'm like, what is this telling me? Because I can feel it. Like there's this like sort of a burst of energy or an inspiration or something that is coming from listening. Like I can feel an expansiveness as it's coming from them, but maybe I haven't quite wrapped my head around what they're saying. Or maybe they're talking too fast. I'll listen to it again and again and again and again. And then I'll think about it. Because guess what I'm doing? Forming new synaptic connections. Yay! And when that happens, I'm going to behave in a different way in life, a new and improved way. That's why the one truth that you always want to adopt, or I invite you to adopt, is capital T truth. The universal truth that is unchanging, ever present, and rooted in the most powerful energy of love. When you apply universal truth to yourself, your life cannot help but change. It'll be radical, it'll be big, it'll be obvious, it'll be what the bleep, why didn't I do this sooner? But then you can't beat yourself up because you didn't know any better, just like I didn't, okay? Take what you're hearing in the outside world, whether it's your religion, whether it's a book, whether it's a song. Oh my God, there's a song. I'll listen to words of songs. I'm like, what a beautiful lyric. I'll write the lyric down and study the lyric. Okay? Journal. Start wiring your brain to think in terms of your self-worth, your value. Because I'm telling you, sitting here right now, that no one on this earth is more valuable than you are. Nor are you more valuable than anybody else. We're all created equal, period. We're brothers and sisters. We're a soul family. That's why I call us soul siblings. Okay? You can have anything you want. your self-worth, your true value is your birthright. You came here with it. Like, we literally came, here you go, you're going to earth. Here's your true value. Child of God, unconditionally loved. Okay, go. Get off the bus. I'll pick you up in a little while. Okay? We came here with it. But we entered into an earth suit. We have this ego that's taking in information, that's lying to us, that's scaring us, that's trying to get us to control the world. It's doing all these things. We started listening to it. We started to adopt beliefs that had to be in accordance with that. We forgot about this unconditional love of self. Canine Chit Chat, there you are. Good to see you. Great comment the other day. Okay? And we forgot who we are. This is what we got to return back to. Okay, yeah, we got lured over here. We got lured into the darkness a little bit, functioning with our lower self, limiting beliefs and fear. But it's the returning back to this. I appreciate you too. It's the returning back to this is where your true value is, where you're going to have the rock star life. Okay? Because when we know our true worth, manifestations are easy and our energy is high, our vibe is high, and we will naturally attract people to us that match that vibe. You guys, when I tell you I'm absolutely flabbergasted and shocked about the quality and caliber of people I have in my life right now, this has never been a thing. But right now I can look around and I have like good humans surrounding me. Some of the best friends I've ever had that I know would do whatever they needed to do for me. Okay? When we up-level our inner world, when we return back to our true worth, our outer world is going to reflect that hands down without a question. That's why the work begins within. Thank you so much for being here. I see that everybody, most of the people have had jet, and that is great. This has been an awesome conversation. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Much love. Peace.